Arize Ifejika, age 29. Started my own company in 2009. Fresh out of college, it's our 8th year. Do a couple other things outside of that, film, gaming, applications, things of that nature, diversifying the portfolio. More notably, Attention Kills, the web series, which is, somewhat popular in the DC area and surrounding regions, and just trying to, continue to grow. I started More Than Basketball LLC in January 2009, a week after the inauguration of Barack Obama. Fresh out of college, saw a black guy with an African name who quote unquote didn't look African, who had a love for basketball. I thought it was a sign, so I decided to put all my eggs in one basket and go for mine. He was preaching young entrepreneurship and things of that nature, and he was talking that talk I wanted to hear. So I decided to follow my dreams and start that. We run 10 events a year annually, which include leagues, tournaments, showcases, and things of that nature. We also outsource by big companies such as the radio station, DTLR, to run events as well. So we're actually independent contractors in that nature. So I've been just doing that, and it's worked out for me. Growing up, I'm one of 7, sandwiched between 4 girls, 2 older girls, 2 older sisters, 2 younger sisters. I started off in DC, spent a little bit of time in DC, in Silver Spring, Maryland, and went back to DC. And yeah, just came from 2 immigrant parents who came here with nothing, could barely speak English, and found a way to grind and come up. And we're up, came up, went back down, came back up. So I really got to learn, how to, lose it, get it back, lose it, get it back, and never make excuses. They never let us feel what they were going through. So it almost felt like an upper middle class upbringing, even though it was like middle to lower class. If you didn't know any better, you would think I was an upper middle class kid. I had nice things. My parents are both working class people who made upper 5 figures. But there was a lot of siblings. Immigrants in America with 7 children. It's not going to be easy, but they never let us feel it. So through that, I kind of learned a lot. I think one of the biggest things I learned from them, though, is that I didn't want to be like them. I didn't want to be somebody who went to work for 40 years and then when it was all said and done, I had nothing to show for it, no legacy. My parents had multiple ventures that went bad. They tried to start a restaurant, didn't go well. Tried to do some other things like in Nigeria where we're from, didn't go well. So because of that, like I said, they became successful, went through hardships. My father got laid off from his job. So that's when I learned early on that having a job security is no security, because once the jobs go, there's no security. So at a very early age, I decided that I was going to go for mine, and I had this love for entrepreneurship, for sports, for just creativity, innovation, and I've been running with that ever since. So that's kind of like for me what it was. I went to Florida A&M University. It was like the Florida version of Howard. You know what I'm saying? I went there for 4 years. Ended up doing some secondary educational stuff. I don't really want to shout them out because I don't really feel like that was necessary. I didn't really learn too much from them. I feel like I was more robbed. And when I went there, it was just more so like to make white people feel comfortable being around me. You know what I'm saying? So this was what it was. But yeah, definitely went to college, learned a lot, grew up a lot, and made me a better person today. More Than Basketball is a boutique sports management agency, management company, lifestyle brand that runs high-level youth basketball events for amateur athletes, basketball events, ages 17 and down, 18 and down, typically, depending on when your birthday is, starting around 4th grade all the way up to like high school seniors. We run a bevy of events from showcases, AAU tournaments, leagues, and then also one-off events. We also outsource, we're independent contractors as well in some sense, as bigger companies outsource us to run events on their behalf. or we partner up to run different events and different joint ventures. More Than Basketball started very rough, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always tell people, like, people always ask me, like, do you ever wish you can go back to being 21? And I'd be like, hell no. You know, mainly because it's the hardest thing about being young is like doubt and confusion, trying to figure out like if what you're doing is actually gonna work, or if your dreams are actually gonna come true, or you're not gonna just be another person who's gonna end up having to go get a 9-to-5 job, or be even worse, be that person that is known for something and then you fall off with that, or you don't do that no more. Like that guy, I think that's even worse than having a 9-to-5 job. So that's the hardest part. So for us, it was just that having that blind faith and that arrogance of like, this shit is gonna happen. Even though in the back of our minds it was still doubt, it was still wonder. You know, if a nigga can hoop, he's accepted. Whether you get females or don't, whether you can dress or you can't, whether you're cool or you're not, it doesn't matter. Like being able to hoop breaks that down. It wouldn't matter where you're from, white, black. If you find a white boy, he can hoop, it's irrelevant. You can be redneck, skinhead, it doesn't matter. You can hoop, you're my man, you're my teammate, you're my brother. So it's done so much for race relations. So on that note, being able to put together things like H.D. Woodson versus Bullis or Bishop Murray, whatever, Bishop Ireton, something like that, where you have H.D. Woodson, the heart of the hood, and Bishop Ireton, the heart of suburban America, and they're coming together, fan bases, audiences in the same gym in peace for a common goal, which is winning a basketball game. Is something you can't, there's no measurement for that, and the impact of that, whether it's socially, globally, intellectually, etc. So as far as feedback, I think people really appreciate that we can do that. And I think that comes from the fact that a person like me, I come from humble beginnings, but I'm still well spoken. You can find me in the Go-Go, you can find me on News Channel 8. You know, you can catch me with the wildest dudes the city has to offer. You can catch me with the richest dudes the city has to offer. And I can function in both places comfortably. I think that my business is a product of that. So from a feedback standpoint, I think people really appreciate that, because the thing I learned about sports especially, they just don't want to play against them in the hood. They don't want to come to the hood. So if you can find a way to bring street kids in a place, in a neutral place where their kids can play and feel comfortable in an environment, they want that, because they want their kids to play against street kids, get tougher, not be scared, not grow up scared, which is also breaking stereotypes too, because you play against, if you're a fourth grade kid, a 10-year-old kid, you play against a street kid and you're able to win the game or even be competitive. Think about what that does for your mentality as a young person. It breaks that stereotype of like, you don't have to be scared of street kids or ghetto kids or hood kids, and then people from lower class want to play against people from the upper class to show their kids walks of life they've never seen before. Even the smallest things are like, you walk into a place and you see all their parents, nobody's wearing Jordans, they're wearing Ferragamo, they're wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and not no loud Migo type shit, but like some chill, humble, discreet, clothes or whatever, or just how they carry themselves, period, in a social environment. Young, hood kids, young street kids from urban environments, low-income environments, they see that at a very early age, and it breaks those mentalities and breaks those stereotypes, because there's people I know that have never left D.C., some kids, and the farthest they've probably been is like Iverson Mall. So being able to be around kids from Virginia, Baltimore, Philly, New York, whatever, and be able to see different classes and stuff are something that you can't put a price on. So that's the biggest thing in terms of feedback, is my ability to bring all those people together for a common goal, which is to win a basketball game. So for the first 4 years, from 2009 to 2012, was like the hardest years of my life. I had to question myself a lot. I really challenged myself, really question every day if it was actually going to happen. There were some times where I was broke, didn't have a dime to my name, 2 nickels to rub together to make a dime, but I had to just continue to persevere until 2013. January 2013 changed my life, which was the 4th annual Uptown Hoop Fest. The event was so live, we ended up having 1,600 people outside who couldn't get in. We had the fire marshals come out, almost threatened to cancel the event, all types of news coverage, because it was like a semi-riot outside. They call it a semi-riot. I just think it was niggas wanted, or people wanted to come see their kids, you know what I mean? So like a semi-riot outside ended up being like all the major news outlets, which gave us like the light. People were just wondering like, who are these young, they wanted to say black, but who are these young people who have this company that has 1,600 people outside and 1,600 people inside, standing room only, and nobody knows who they are. They don't have no major backing. They're not no major corporation. It's really an independent company. So that was what put us on the map. So from that point, news requests, interview requests started, and media coverage came, and a big spotlight on our company. And obviously, we had 4 years to prepare for it, so we were ready. I was ready to make that move. So that's pretty much when everything started. So obviously, with the news coverage, media outlets, and the interview requests, it's obviously I'm able to articulate myself. So then people at large are able to say, "Oh, he's not no ghetto motherfucker. Like, he's actually a person who has some intelligence. He knows what he's doing. This isn't a mistake. This isn't by accident. This is actually a well put together, well-oiled machine." So obviously, with press comes exposure. With exposure comes more business. So we were able to turn the corner. So fast forward 4 years now, we've been fully functional for years. Everything's going well.
Put it on speaker, bruh.
There's a little Frank calling, cuz.
Let me see.
Hey.
Frank, what's good?
Hey, man, don't be sending no little ass nigga to send no fucking message to me, man. You lucky I ain't kill his little ass.
What? Hey, shit, I swear to God, if you do anything to my little man, cuz
Man, nigga, you ain't gonna do shit. You got 1 fucking hour to pull up and holler at me like a man and bring me the bitch ass too.
where the fuck you at, cuz? I'm 640?
Yeah, nigga, I'ma be in 6'10". And if I see one police car, nigga, I'ma smoke this little motherfucker.
Nigga, don't you know by now I don't talk to police. I'm on my way, man.
You know what? Yeah, we'll be waiting, man. Hang the motherfucking phone up.
Alright, Attention Kills is a web series. Like a lot of people say, DMV-based web series, for those who wouldn't know, but I like to consider it a web series that depicts the low-income or urban American experience in America. And I say that because the feedback I've gotten, people from Arkansas, California, Kansas, Texas, have all reached out, talking about how much they like the event, like the show, etc. And it's very relative to them. So that's why I feel like it's more of like the black urban experience in America, because it's so relatable to people from all walks of life, not just from the DMV. It's more of like a DMV perspective. Actually, it's more of a DC perspective, and I'm not the type of person to be like DC, Maryland, whatever. But because this is where I'm from, and these are the people I know and where they're from, and etc. That's why I say that. And I think they have another web series out here too. I forgot what it was called, that talks about like the suburban Maryland experience, the suburban DMV experience, I believe. I could be mistaken, but. So that's pretty much what it is. We use like an exaggeration of our everyday existence to kind of give messaging through stories, through plots and things of that nature. And I feel like we've done a good job. We do auditions, of course. But starting off, you know how it is. Like, nobody's gonna audition for something they didn't know what it was about. So most of these people majority of the people are people that I rub shoulders with on a daily basis, or weekly basis, or monthly basis. It was more like a phone call, a text. This is what I'm doing. By the time we started Attention Kills, it was like January 2015. I've already pretty much professionally had myself in a place where people could trust. My brand was in a place where people could trust what I was doing. So when I make a phone call to a certain person saying I want them to be involved, it was where I need to be, and that's it, say no more. So that's pretty much what it was. I started Attention Kills because at one point in time it was a branding tactic for some people I'm in business with, and it turned into something much more. I just wanted to give them some added exposure and put them in a light that they wouldn't normally be seen in, and put them in situations I thought would be engaging to their audience and help them grow and build their audience. But it turned into something that I never expected, where it became like something that was like, I don't want to say I humbly say must watch television. The reason why I say that is because it's a web series, so it's pretty much like on demand. But for some reason, people like really want to watch it at 8 p.m. every Tuesday or Thursday, which is kind of shocking to me, because I would get like these tweets at like 8:03, like, yo, where's the show? Why don't you post a link yet? And I'm like, it's 8:03, like, you can just watch it tomorrow. But people wanted to watch it at 8 o'clock. So that was like shocking to me. But yeah, it definitely became something bigger than I expected. I'm not complaining. The writing and directing is done by me. A wise man once said, no one's gonna be able to tell your vision like you. So, you know, I had a very keen idea for what I wanted to do, and I thought we would sell ourselves short with something that could be so dope if I relied on somebody else. Plus, at the end of the day, niggas be bullshit. Like, you know, people hustling backwards. You know what I'm saying? That's just the nature of the business when you're at the grassroots level. People aren't serious. So I don't have time to be chasing people around or chasing around no footage, etc. So I just, you know, did what I had to do to be great. I'll take it back even further, being a senior in college and seeing Dave Chappelle coming back. So this is around the time where, like, not even a senior in college, even before that, this is around the time when Dave Chappelle had come back. Everybody thought he was crazy. And he came back, he did that movie Block Party. I don't know if you remember Block Party, but he did an interview on this thing called Inside the Actor Studio, where he talked about being crazy, the concept of being crazy. And like, he said, like, basically in so many words, like, anybody who, being crazy is almost like, it's very dismissive, because like, a person is only gonna adapt to that environment. So like, it's gonna come across as crazy. So there's basically certain things you're gonna do in life, people are gonna take as crazy. And that's very dismissive. It's something that people do because of their own inability to be great. Like, oh, I would never understand that, I've never been in that position, so he's crazy. So meaning, when I say that, I mean, when I have a company and I'm thinking my company is gonna be the hottest shit, my company's gonna be the biggest shit, my company's gonna be huge, this is gonna be it, I'm gonna change lives, I'm gonna, you know, captivate an audience, a generation, you know, affect a generation, it's gonna come off as crazy. But the reality is like, it's only crazy until you do it. Then you become a hero. So what happens to a person when you start off as crazy, a 21-year-old crazy person, and then you're a 29-year-old, shut the fuck up, I really did it. You can't tell me nothing. And mind you, this is around the time where, you know what I'm saying, wait till I get my money right, that Kanye West shit came out, all that. So all the stars are aligned, you know what I'm saying? So at the time, when I was getting ready to start this company, this is all that was going on. That coupled with the inauguration of Barack Obama, this coupled with the whole candidacy of Barack Obama, and watching the movement, watching social media, watching his impact culturally on the generation, and watching how important the time was, having a black president who was talking about entrepreneurship and all these things. So some of the things that were, you know, kind of troubling, like I said, the hardest thing about having a company in America is having a company in America is dealing with people's stereotypes and misconceptions, thinking that, you know, young black businesses were going to be on some nigger shit. You know, even like doing business at Wilson, you know, the difference between More Than Basketball and Wilson is that Wilson is protected by the brand that is a gentrified, multicultural government institution, DC government institution, where we're forced to deal with young black boutique business and everything that all the people who've come before us, the bullshit they've been on with young black businesses being laid unprofessional, being on some like just general like nigger shit, whatever. We're forced to have to deal with those things, where Wilson, they could be on some bullshit like any business. You know, Walmart has been on bullshit. Fox Channel 5, the Redskins are going through bullshit. I mean, these are billion-dollar entities, but because they're protected by the brand that is the NFL, or the brand that is Walmart, you know, the craziest shit happens on the Walmart on Georgia Avenue by where I live at, you know what I'm saying? But because they're protected by that billion-dollar brand, people overlook that type of stuff, where they're not gonna overlook that with small black businesses, because it's like, oh, I see y'all, I know who you are that runs the building, I know who, it's the same, it's kind of the same things that like Jay-Z talked about with Tidal. Like, you're talking about making Jay-Z more rich, but you buy iPhones every day, and Steve Jobs was rich, way richer than Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? Or you support Apple Music. Steve Jobs had way more money than Jay-Z, but you don't want to make Jay-Z richer. Like, it's just the brand dealing with so it's like the stereotypes and misconceptions. So people think it's gonna be some bullshit, or, you know, you guys gonna have fights or gonna have ghetto shit and blah blah blah. So having to fight through that was like the most difficult thing, because people's mentalities aren't bred to believe that a young black business person can actually be an authentic, official business person, because I'm young and black. So the bigger issue is what's wrong with being young and black in America, not a business person who's young and black. Know when to listen, but know when not to listen. Because a lot of times people will try to project their own failures and their own inability to be great onto you, try to make you scared to be great. But sometimes you can learn a lot from their insecurities and a lot from their failures. So finding that balance in between knowing when to listen and knowing when not to listen is like the key. Also, the other thing is like, really just go do shit your way, because at the end of the day, anybody who has like a manuscript on like how to do shit, like eventually, because today is Saturday, which is different from their Saturday, which is different from the Saturday before. Every day is different, every moment is different, every opportunity is different. So inevitably, it's going to be things that you're going to have to bring to the table, or just understandings you're going to have that's going to be your own. So it's just really just doing shit your way, and ultimately it's going to be sink or swim. Somebody's going to throw you in the pool, and your ability to maneuver is going to be how you succeed. This is Arize, founder and CEO of More Than Basketball LLC, director, creator of DC-based web series Attention Kills. Just concluded a dope interview with TwinnyF. Hope y'all enjoy it. Even though it's hard to look at me on camera, I know, but hopefully what I got to say will carry me through.